Good morning, good morning, good morning, and apologies for those of you who were joining me live. I'm 10 minutes later than I would like to be. I have good reason, but hopefully you are all fired up and ready to go for your Monday. Let me just turn my lighting up a little bit more. That's better. I'll do one more click. Okay, I still look a bit ghostly, but hey ho, the technology's here. Welcome to this week's Monday Motivation, where the topic follows on actually from the last couple of weeks, although it might not seem like it. So for the last couple of weeks, I have been bringing you motivations around goal setting, intention setting, however you would like to phrase it, but really looking at mapping out your future. Yes, it's the beginning of a new year, or the first month of a new year, but the goal setting has been all around mapping out your future. For some of you, it could be the next 6 months, some of you the next 12 months, and some of you even 5-year, 10-year plans, depending on how you work. Hey, good morning, Ivona, and good morning to the rest of you watching too. So, this morning, I thought I would talk about your purpose, your why, and your motivation. And I'm going to break it down in a few ways and talk about how this, or what this has got to do with motivation. So I guess I'll start by laying the table, taking a sip of my hot fruit tea this morning. Thank you for sharing some love. So this is how it all weaves in together. For many years now, on here even, I've been performing these Monday motivations, and I've been delivering them, getting your insights and your feedback. And one of the things that I find, no matter how many times I do this, whether it's with you, whether it's with clients, I've just seen Ian on there, and Eunice. Hey, good morning. I feel like I'm in good company this morning now. Hope you got a couple with you. And for those of you watching on the replay, even if you're watching this back on like Wednesday night, still have a couple with you. It's all good. So one of the things that I find and have also found, when you talk about goal setting, some people have a resistance to it, especially at this time of year, because they feel like everybody's doing it. But actually, if you can get yourself into going through the process, it actually uncovers something far deeper, far bigger. And it's something that I've realised but haven't really verbalised or articulated. And I find it so motivational. My clients find it so motivational. Companies I work with find it so inspiring and motivational. I thought to myself, why have I never shared this here? So I'm going to be hopefully helping to stir or stoke the fires within that help you to either uncover your purpose, your why, that motivates you, or help you to reignite that fire. Because many people find their purpose. So the first thing that I want to say is the most frustrating thing about finding life purpose or your deep and big why is by looking at it in the wrong way. What do I mean by that? Ever had that feeling where you've just thought, I wonder why I'm here, I wonder why I want to do this thing, and you go on courses and you look and you dig and you search and you can't find it, and it becomes a bit frustrating, and you'll often hear somebody telling you it's on the end of your nose, and you just look around and you can't see it because it's there. I often say it's a bit like a ponytail. The ponytail's there and everyone points and goes, there it is, Jen, and you go, where? What, there? By the time you've looked there, it's moved to here. What, there? And it kind of moves around with you. So think of it a little bit like that, especially if you found that you've struggled with finding your purpose. So over the last few weeks, we've talked about goal setting, we've talked about looking at different life areas, we've talked about delving deeper into those life areas and really going for what you want. And ultimately, this is the point where sometimes people can get stuck, especially if you're kind of just working through it slowly in your own pace, which there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Some people want to accelerate that and move that along quicker. And quite often they'll come to a coach, somebody like you, somebody like me, to have a look at how we can dig deeper into this. But one of the things that I found personally, if it's okay to share one of my personal stories, is as I've been going through this process over the years, I found that I've almost done it more and more, looking at my goals, looking at my visions, looking at my plans. So I thought that in sharing or parts of what I've uncovered about myself, I thought I would use it as almost like a teaching, if you like, or a way for you to look in professional training, learning and development, of which I had that background, which spanned things like financial services at a very senior level, training, retail, lots of different industries. So I've seen this meld into lots of different things. One of the things that you do, and I know Ivona will know this as well from her background, in traditional learning and development, L&D as we like to call it, there's something called a fishbowl exercise, and usually that is when you get a room full of people, you're on a live exercise, and a couple of people come up to the front and play out a scenario where everybody can watch, and by watching you get to look in the fishbowl, see what's going on with somebody else or for somebody else, and you get to learn by watching. So I hope that this is the online equivalent. If I can share stories or examples, then this is the equivalent of fishbowl. Does that even make sense? If it does, give me a thumbs up or a love heart. Well, actually, love hearts. I quite like seeing the pink across the screen. Okay, thank you. It does make sense. Excellent. So, I made a couple of notes of things that I will share, and I invite you to do the same. If you haven't already got pen and paper, just grab something. If not, sit, be present, listen, absorb, comment, and then go back and rewatch this. And by the way, if you come across anyone else who kind of stumbles across this, then do share. So, another sip. I sound croaky this morning, I think. Even though I've been up because I'm excited. I'll tell you what I'm excited about in a minute, but yes, so when we're looking at our vision, our purpose, and we bump up against our goals, how that sometimes plays into this, what can sometimes happen. So we write down our goals, we look at different life areas, we write down our desires. Some of them light us up more than others. Think about this when you go through things like, in the traditional coaching of Wheel of Life, for example, you go through health and wellness, lifestyle and fun, for example, business and career, things like that. You go through those different pieces. Some of them you feel really like you're chomping at the bit to go and get, and others you might feel a bit like, yeah, maybe I need to do this. And this is where it closely ties to motivation. So here are 3 areas that I would, if you're looking at this process for yourself, I'll get you to explore. Because as I said, as I find my passion at the end of my nose, I didn't know it was there. I stand before you today as a visibility specialist. Who knew? Who would have thought that at 4 years old, when I went to school, one of my very first classes, and the teacher asked us all, what do you want to be when you grow up? That little Jennifer would have said, I want to be a visibility specialist, please. And the teacher would say, Jennifer, tell us a bit more about what that is. Well, I think I would like to help people to be able to stand out and stand out in their own lives, and really more so in their own businesses. Where sometimes people have got a passion for doing something and they want more people to know about it. So maybe they want to market themselves. Maybe they want to sell their services. Maybe they just want to do it in a way that feels real, and they don't have to be on TV with big hair and lots of makeup or pretending to be somebody that they're not. I want to do that. I mean, can you imagine if I'd said that in the 70s at 4 to the teacher? The teacher would have been like, what? And to be fair, the teacher would have been like, what? Because that's not their purpose. That's not their, they often say their dharma. It's not what they were put on the planet for. And, whether it's the 70s or whether it's 2021, you can expect some people to react exactly the same to the things that you want to do. But first of all, it's got to start with you. And this is where the motivation and the kind of purpose meld together. Because if when we're putting down our goals, our ambitions, our intentions, our desires, if we can't name and claim what we want for ourselves in our lives, how on earth do we expect anyone else to jump on our bandwagon and get what we want? But here's the weird thing about purpose and destiny and dharma, is that It's your purpose, it's your dream, it's your vision. And quite often, because of that, nobody else will get it. They just won't. They won't, you know, because it's not their dream, it's not their vision. So one of the things that I like to start off with any client that I'm doing, whether it's kind of more formally on a questionnaire, depends on how I'm working with them, group or otherwise, whether it's a questionnaire that they have to fill out, whether it's a series of questions that we have conversationally, and even for a couple of my online works, you know, it's the place that we start is, what is your vision? Not what is your vision right now and what would you like to do next, but like if I gave you a magic wand and you could do anything you wanted to, everything would work, it's all good, there is no failure, and you could do absolutely anything, what would you do? Now, this is a thing, this is an important thing, because when I've asked people, specifically my execs and people who have been employed, they love the jobs that they do 9 times out of 10, but they'll often say, but what I'd really like to do is something like open a, you know, B&B by the sea, or I'd like to travel and take my family with me, or, you know, I'd like to get rid of my car and live an eco life. Or they'll say something like that, but very quickly they'll follow it up with a, oh, but, yeah, I couldn't do it because, and all the reasons why they can't. And this is really demotivating. Like, imagine you're telling yourself this. So then you go out in the world and you kind of test it out and you say to someone, you know what, I fancy opening a B&B by the sea down in Cornwall or in Florida or somewhere else. And all of a sudden, everyone around you goes, oh, I don't know about that. It kind of suppresses and sinks that motivation. Does that make sense? Thumbs up, love, heart, if it makes sense. If it doesn't, say, you know, then type in the box, can you explain, you know, or no, it doesn't, or I have a question, or anything like that. Okay, so here's how this has played out for me. It's taken me years, you know, it's taken me years to really kind of like get firm in what feels to me very much like my purpose. And then as I look back, I get clues. So one of the ways that you can find clues is think about the podcasts you listen to, think about the books that you read, or even the ones that you buy, whether you actually got around to reading them or not. You know, what's on your bookshelf, what kind of topics interest you. If you're going to binge watch Netflix, for example, are you going to watch documentaries about people's lives? Are you going to watch films, complete fantasy? Are you going to watch things about the law of attraction? Are you a combination of these things? Like, start to look at those things that really ignite you. That definitely points in the right direction. And for many of you, you're already living in purpose. So I said I would share kind of like a bit of my path about this, and I'll put on my glasses so I can read this comment without overly squinting. Yeah, Eunice says it makes total sense. There will always be naysayers who don't necessarily get you, even if they don't mean to be negative. And this is the thing, Eunice has got it spot on. People often, when they say these things, they're not trying to be like downers or naysayers. They just don't feel the same vision that you feel. So, you know, so they're not going to get it. And often they want to protect you if they think that they've spotted a gap in there or something that's not going to work. And really not realising that you've probably gone through this a gazillion times in your own mind before you've kind of put it out there. So I am a visibility specialist, you know, I'm doing exactly what you imagine the strange conversation the 4-year-old Jenny could have had with a teacher, but didn't, by the way, just to be transparent, you know. But when I look back in my life, there are times and places that I shouldn't have stood out. There are things that I've been able to achieve and help others achieve that shouldn't have happened. There have been things that have been groundbreaking, and you know, I'm in so much gratitude for it. I really am. I can never feel glib about something. Oh well, this thing's been done, so on to the next thing. I feel so grateful. I feel grateful that when I can broadcast something on Facebook Live, whether it's one person or 100 people, you know, I feel so grateful that there's a resonance that you can take into your day, your Monday, your week, you know. I feel so grateful every time I get a message. But here's the reason why. Underneath all that, there's a part of you that has permission to be seen. There's a part of you that has permission to be heard, and there's a part of you that has permission to be visible. So let me string this together and tell you why I'm excited. I'm excited because for years I've been talking about the vibes, haven't I? Even lovingly calling some of you guys the vibers. And that's because I created in 2000, in fact it came together in about 2012. But since 2010 I've been helping sort of training, coaching, what does that look like, why, where am I going to niche down on all of that. And in 2012 I created a system called the Visibility Vibes System, as it was called then. And that was 5 steps, easy to remember, vibes, V-I-B-E-R. That's Viber, V-I-B-E-S. So that was a 5-step system, and what I realised that there were steps underneath, and many of you would have heard me talk about the steps underneath, and the ones that I share very publicly, very openly, are under the first step, visibility, being on video, which includes live stream, and also vision. And I tend to do that more with one-to-one or group clients, because I can help steer them and help kind of guide them into creating their own vision for themselves a lot easier than I can if I just kind of throw it out there. But in terms of vision, how I do that publicly is these Monday motivations, help you to get to where you need to be. And last year I realised that whenever I've worked with people, I only kind of pick out small pieces, or they come to me, they've got a perceived problem or an issue, and they'll say, okay, I need help with this. So I'll work with them in that capacity, but I've never really taken people all the way through every single step of the system. So there's 5 key pillars, if you like, but underneath that there's 12 very important things. And you can go kind of light version, the Diet Coke version, or you can go deeper into the, full fat, everything else, add a bit of extra whatever in there, version as well. But quite often, depending on someone's goal or vision, I need to see where they are. So although it started this Monday, I have done a soft launch on the Visibility Activator program, which are the 5 pillars of being visible and what comes underneath, the 12 themes. And because we're getting started today, I've actually gone straight into vision, and how we put ourselves out there in the world really depends on the vision that we have, almost in our hearts, what we yearn for ourselves. So 3 things that you'll hear me talk about this week and today, and I have got some coaching clients today as well. You'll hear me ask you these 3 questions. And think about your vision, think about your purpose. And if you don't know what that is yet, don't worry about it. You'll start to see clues around your life, and especially when you look back and join the dots. But ask yourself, why you want to be, well, let me just give this some context. I'm a visibility specialist, and I'm passionate about you putting your work out there and being confident to do that. So this is all about, the first question is, what is it about what you do that has you want that piece to be more visible? What is it about what you do that has you want that piece to be more visible? So for me, why do I need to be more visible? Why do I want to be more visible? I actually don't necessarily need to be more visible if I just want to keep my kind of visibility nuggets to myself and do them and live them. I don't have to be visible to anyone. But here's the thing. As a visibility specialist, people expect to be able to find me if they do a Google search, or if they, come to a social media channel, they'd expect I have a social media presence. So that's the reason why I might, quote unquote, have to be visible. But I want to be visible because I want to be able to show people how easy it is to put their voice, their work, themselves out there in the world. And currently, there are a high percentage of people on the planet that for whatever reason think that they can't, for whatever reason won't. And I would like to reverse that and show them how easy it is. There are people out there with far bigger audiences than me that are far more visible. But just because they're visible doesn't mean that they can teach you how to be visible. Visibility is what I specialise in. So that's why I want to be more visible every day. because I, come across a lot of people that fall into the trap of, I was working with this person and they happen to mention visibility. So, I did the work with them and they're going to help me be more visible. And it really doesn't work like that. I specialise in the visibility bit. And yes, there are a couple of other ways that you can get your work out there. And that's what I show you. So, so that's the first thing. Why do you want to be more visible in what you do? And whilst you kind of scribble down a few thoughts of that, and if you want to share them here, you're more than welcome to. Remember, this is a public page, so if you're typing things, people, coming to watch this later will be able to see. So when I started this program, the Visibility Activator program, it's actually, get this, a year-long program, but it's in 4 parts. So I run the 12 themes over 12 weeks. And within those weeks, we get the chance just to catch up if you've had a particularly busy week. So you get the space to implement and catch up. Then you get a nice reset week where you have a break. And then we go into the next 12 weeks. Same themes, but slightly deeper. Now, if you don't feel ready to go deeper, you can repeat the ones that you've just done. But you've got a whole year of this. And one of the things that people kept saying to me is, oh, but my life's so busy. I'm just so busy, I don't have time. And I get that. It can feel really overwhelming to keep up with social media and run a business and run a home and run a family and do all the other things. Some of you are caring for others. Some of you are caring for many, and then there's the situation the planet finds ourselves in right now. And that alone makes enough people want to run and hide. So one of the things, I like the fruit teas. In the time that it takes to boil a kettle, I wanted a way for you as brilliant people doing brilliant things in the world, and most importantly making a difference, who sometimes say to yourself, but how do I just put myself out there? How do I get my work out there? How do I get it out there? Whatever the thing is that you do, and you struggle with that. So the 12 themes are delivered over 12 weeks and in a very short instruction. So today, of course, we're starting day 1 and we're talking about our vision as the theme for the week, and we're talking about our why. So if you are known to me and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was happening, I didn't get a chance to know that this was going on, then by all means send me a private message here, because I'm only accepting the very, very early people in until the end of this month, which is the end of this week. After that, you will be able to get access, but the price point will be far greater, and that will be later on this year, in fact in a couple of months, because I've got some other exciting projects to work on too. But just to say, this isn't an online program. Yes, you get a video instruction from Monday to Friday, so you get the weekends off, so that's how long a theme runs. But you also are able to personally come and ask me, live Q&A sessions that run throughout the time. You get implementation help. You also get access to me in various different guises, and you get a masterclass each month as well. So it goes deeper on a theme. So if that's something you're interested in, then send me a private message here. We'll schedule a kind of a quick 15 minutes to chat, and I'll let you know whether it's right for you or not. And at this moment, there are payment plans available. Okay, so if that's what you're kind of thinking about, worried about, then let's have a chat about it. This isn't really a magic pill. It's not overnight success or anything else like that, but this is going to provide you with really great firm foundations to be able to raise your professional profile, get yourself out there, get your work out there to a bigger audience. And already, we're on the 25th of January. I do my own system all the time already. I've had a couple of lovely people who have joined onto it, but also already I've been able to reap the benefits of what it actually feels like to live a life on purpose, and I know that so many of you do too, for all the great stuff that you do in the world. So going back to the 3 things, and before we wrap up, why do you want to be more visible out there in the world? Well, I've kind of gave you a bit of an insight as to why I do. Also, why does it matter? What's important about it? And it's really great to articulate that in a couple of ways. Why it's important for you, and also why it's important for the people that you work with. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't really know how to explain what I do, you know, and that kind of stops me, and that stops me from wanting to do video, or I'm nervous about video anyway, and all of that kind of good stuff. But a lot of the time, when we can start off by having clarity around this, and there are a couple of other pieces. So for the people that started today, this week, we'll go deeper into those little pieces and what they are. Surprisingly, in a really easy and simplistic way. So as you go through and look at that, then it helps to form the message. And often it's like stuff that you knew but didn't actually realise, because when you're doing this, looking for the thing that's on the end of your nose and you can't find it, sometimes we inadvertently overcomplicate it. And this is what actually demotivates us, not motivates us. So if you have already found your purpose, your mission, you know, your why, then start to look at why it's important for you to be able to put this out there in the world. If you haven't and you're still looking, look at the things that interest you most. Look at the things you do most. You know, I remember once being very, very fortunate to speak to Dr. Wayne Dyer while he was still alive and asking this question around purpose. 2015, I think it was, maybe even 2014. And I remember he was saying, you know, something that he said was, you know, it could be that you just like spending time with people, maybe reading, and you think, well, now I'm an adult and I'm not reading to children, you know, how can I do that? But then you go into a meeting at work and you work in a different environment and you find yourself sitting and reading something, whether it's a white paper or something else. And people often dismiss that and think, oh, that can't be my life purpose, reading this book or reading this thing. But often it's either is that or what that leads to underneath. And when you start to explore that and get to know that, that's what makes a difference. So hopefully helpful. I love the emoji that Eunice shared on there, the memoji. I hope that all makes sense. Does it all make sense? Do you have any questions or anything else? You know, do come back and rewatch this if you need to, with pen and paper if you haven't already. But more importantly, use what you know, use what you do best, use what you love to motivate you. Because when you can motivate yourself in this way, you can really swim against the tides. You know, we are living in very unusual times, and for many people they are challenging times. For some of us, we're doing okay and we're grateful to be doing okay, but for some of us and some of you, it feels challenging. So one of the ways to navigate those is to look more to your purpose, do more of your purpose, even if you're thinking to yourself or speaking to someone who wants to start a business doing something and is doing the dance between working and business. And if you need to do both, like, there's no shame in the game, do both, you know. And if you're in that situation, look at how you can do more of your purpose, more of your why, more of the stuff that jazzes, juices you and motivates you. And if you can do that, then you will start to feel differently about things. You know, I'm going to end by saying I heard from a client last week who said exactly that, you know, from a conversation that we had over a year ago, easily over a year and a half ago. And they said, who knew that, you know, getting that vision down, that purpose down, would actually kind of like steer how I did things. And all this time later, here it is, exactly what I had envisioned for myself. I just had to get in the place where I was happy to accept it. And I didn't even realise I wasn't, you know. And to hear that, I mean, that was just so yummy, so juicy. And I share that with you because I know their circumstances were really tough. And if they could do it, so can you. Happy Monday to you. Go forth, be seen, be heard, and be 100% visible on all the great things that you bring into the world and all of your gifts. Thank you for watching. Please remember to share this because I feel like this is a really important topic. I'm hearing it everywhere. So thank you for watching. I'm going to shout out, shout out to Ian, to Eunice and to Ivona. Go and check out them and their work as well and see some of the amazing stuff that they do. So thank you so much, and I will see you a bit later on today on this page and throughout the week. Let me know if you want to find out about the Visibility Accelerator stuff too. Bye for now.